What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So, as of course we're waiting for Nintendo to fully unveil their next system, we have been getting bits of information here and there, and one recent report certainly makes things very interesting with Nintendo's next system when it comes to the technology side of things, and wanted to go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a leak that's now hit Sony's PlayStation 5 Slim, I guess is what we'll call it, where we now know the release date for not only the system, but also a interesting bundle, and we're going to be going over a bunch of sales across the 3 different platforms to get you in the Halloween spirit. So if you guys enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton, and if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 on Steam, as it did go to the platform in the last couple of weeks, but still had that issue where it always needed an online connection, which is a very annoying thing to deal with for a game that you're going to primarily play single player, and then of course when you want to jump online and play with others, you'll tap into the internet connection and whatnot. But it's strange to need it when you're just playing the game by yourself doing different runs. Well, it appears a recent patch has actually eliminated the need for an online connection, but only on the Steam Deck. These are the patch notes for it. And we can see there's 1.1 patch notes saying Steam Deck users can now play offline and the keyboard overlay now works properly for Steam Deck users. The weird thing about this is it seems to only be for Steam Deck users. So you figure somebody who just bought it on Steam, maybe they want to be able to play in offline mode, but you can't. You need to use it on the Steam Deck, which also means that it wouldn't work that way on the ROG Ally or any of these other PC handheld systems. It's a strange thing. I'm not really sure why it's specific to the Steam Deck, unless they just saw that, wow, okay, people are completely avoiding this because they want to be able to play it offline in their Steam Deck. That's a specific system that we can update for, but you figure you just have it across the board, especially since the game, I mean, it's years old now. You might as well remove that online connection being required. Also, Spider-Man 2 is out today. I am really excited to jump into this one. I've been playing the remastered again, Spider-Man Remastered, where they moved it to the PS5 and added some additional things when it comes to the visuals and stuff. And I just kind of jumped back in to get familiarized again with how that looks, so I can then move right to Spider-Man 2 and get, I guess, more of an appreciation for the jump they did visually and things in the world. But it appears we will still be waiting for a couple of additional features, as they will follow up in a patch that should be releasing before the end of the year. And we can see this posted up over on Twitter. This is from James Stevenson, who's a director of community and marketing at Insomniac Games, responding to a person who was asking about New Game Plus and Mission Replay. And he says, no, we're working on an update for those features, but they won't be in day one. And some people did ask why. Just said, hey, game dev isn't simple nor easy. So there you go. I guess it just wasn't going to be ready for launch. So there is just kind of the way it goes with modern gaming. You can sort of update or fix it later. And hopefully they do get it out before the end of the year, because something that happens with these games is after I am done and I move on to the next one, I don't necessarily go back to do New Game Plus again. I'd rather just fire up New Game Plus as soon as I get through the game to run through it again while I'm still familiar with the controls and everything I've done. So hopefully this is something that's coming up sooner rather than later. Oh, and here's a bit of a comeback story for Battlefield 2042. I did not think I'd ever be saying that, but you can see it on the Steam charts. This comes after a free weekend that they did, as well as Season 6, where the player count's been fluctuating between like 20,000 up to 100,000 concurrent players on Steam, and this puts it back in line with what they were getting when it first launched. So yes, it took a while for them to get to this point, but it seems like they are working out to where they have the right set of features, the content is there, the modes, the maps. In fact, the most recent map that they released, people are saying it feels more like Battlefield than ever before, so maybe I'll download and try it out again. I think it's still like 100 gigabytes, just like a lot of these titles are. But maybe I'll check it out on PC and see what they've been able to I guess, add and fix in the game, as I've been out of it for a while, but I did pick it up when it released, so it might be worth checking in again. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo and their next system that we've all dubbed the Switch 2, and we're basically hanging out waiting for 2024 to get started to see if Nintendo is going to make any serious moves to get this thing announced, and then give us an idea as to what we're dealing with exactly, but we have been getting bits of information sort of trickling out as we've gone along. And one source in particular has been pretty good, as typically when this info gets out there, it then gets corroborated by other sources, and that's Nate the Hate. Now, in this case, he brings up something that I think it really paints an interesting picture for not only Nintendo, but definitely Nvidia with their Tegra chip, more on the consumer side rather than things like self-driving cars and servers. And in this case, it would be Nintendo's next system. Now, this video is posted up over on his channel. It's a full podcast, and it's called Nintendo Switch 2 Leak, Custom SoC and Feature Set, RR2 SKU, backwards compatible, I guess, and more. So this just goes over a bunch of stuff that's been discussed and talked about online for things like the multiple SKUs, and Nate's still unsure. I'm not really sure about it either, to be honest. I've seen this discussed a lot, but I feel like the jury's still out on that one, and I don't know if Nintendo wants to confuse the launch too much necessarily by having multiple SKUs that you have to explain with pretty large differences where one won't take a cartridge, the other will. It seems like something you might introduce years down the line. Anyway, the big thing that was shared, however, is an interesting feature set that appears to be in for Nintendo's next system with this new Tegra chip. That's ray reconstruction that was mostly introduced and definitely discussed by Nvidia in a recent video, kind of showcasing it with DLSS 3.5. And this works alongside, as we said, DLSS to essentially enhance the quality of ray tracing effects in games while keeping the performance and frame rate in mind. I remember seeing it really being shown off with Cyberpunk, most recently with the new downloadable content. And Cyberpunk is a game that really leans in well to ray tracing and just kind of showing it off in a world setting like that. I mean, really, the colors, the reflections, all that really pop off the screen. And the problem obviously run into is it definitely tanks performance. However, using things like DLSS 3.5 with ray reconstruction does work to at least alleviate some of that and make it a much more enjoyable experience. Now, the other part of this is while it would have ray reconstruction, it wouldn't have frame generation, which is another part of DLSS 3.5. So essentially what we're seeing here is, yeah, Nvidia is creating a highly customized chip, one that, as Nate mentions, isn't really comparable one-to-one to anything that we know of right now on the market. And that in particular is very exciting to me. One, because I've been following the Tegra chip since its inception, since, it was at one point rumored to go into the 3DS way back in the day. And obviously through phones and tablets, it's really evolved quite a bit. And this, to me, seems like a great opportunity for Nvidia to create something, really, really impressive, since the Switch has proven to be a success. So we all assume, and they should assume as well, that the next system from Nintendo will be at least just as successful. I guess we'll see there, but it'll at least sell, we assume, 100 million units, right, at this time, based on what we've seen the Switch do. So rather than use an off-the-shelf part that was low risk for both Nvidia and Nintendo, they can kind of push things a bit, and that might mean dropping something like ray reconstruction in, because they can use that for, it sounds weird now, but potentially better ray tracing than what we see with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series, which, by the way, would make some of these Digital Foundry comparisons very, very weird. Okay, the Xbox Series, the PS5, even the PS5 Pro, doing some really cool things with resolution and frame rate, but oh yeah, the Switch 2, it has the better ray tracing. It's like, what? It definitely goes against kind of what the perceived notion has been with Nintendo, really since the Wii, is that they go for the lower powered hardware and they try to maximize profit. And they probably will do something here with the Switch 2 to kind of cut some corners with sort of the hardware side to get there, but it does seem like Nvidia, at least they are really trying to push things a bit with this Tegra chip, and I am very curious to see what they come up with. And it's going to be an interesting day when Nintendo is finally ready to reveal this thing, so hopefully we're not too far off. I'm still thinking Q1, so March at the latest. We see this system, we hear about some of the features, some of the games maybe coming up, and then it's off and running to probably a second half of 2024 release. Next up, let's talk about Sony and a leak that pretty much gives us an idea as to when the PlayStation 5 Slim, or the new PlayStation 5, comes out, as well as a bundle that's going to release 2 days before. And this is kind of a strange thing to watch for Sony, because it's almost like they just spur of the moment decided to drop this PS5 system, but they wouldn't, because it takes a while to get these kind of things to market. And what I mean by that is we had the PlayStation 5 Spider-Man system. Now, that did come out obviously before the game by quite a bit. However, it was still there. They did the custom plates, and they introduced more plates for the current PS5. And then they show us the PS5 with the detachable disc drive, and now it appears they're preparing a Spider-Man bundle with this new system. And we can see this posted up over on D-Labs, who, I mean, have been dead on accurate with a lot of the different things they've put out there, whether it's Xbox controllers, PlayStation Plus, or in this case, full-on systems from Sony with the release date. So the Spider-Man 2 bundle, it appears to just be the PlayStation 5 Slim, we'll say, with the disc reader. So it won't be that digital and then you have to buy the PS5 detachable disc drive separately. It's going to be the whole system here, complete, with the game coming in at $560, which I guess technically that's a $10 discount, right, with the game. Now, there's no word here if this would be a disc inside the box. I am going to assume, based on what we've seen previously, it's just the digital code. It probably makes it easier for them to do that, and then also have some sort of digital bundle if they want to go that route down the road. You just drop the code in and sort of go from there. But this would be coming November 8th. The other side of the things would be the PlayStation 5 Slim, standard and digital, that coming out November 10th. So you can kind of see what I mean. It's strange because we just had the Spider-Man bundle. Now we're getting another Spider-Man bundle. And to me, this just continues to play into Sony trying really hard to sell PS5 systems right now, because they set themselves up with a 25 million unit target. That's their forecast for their current fiscal year that will end next March. So they have a lot of ground to make up here, because the last quarter, I don't think hit where they were looking. It came in a little below expectations. So they have to have a massive holiday. Fortunately for them, Spider-Man 2 is there. They also have this PlayStation 5 Slim that they'll probably have people trade in their current PS5s so they can get it, even though I wouldn't recommend it. I understand there's some people out there who might just go that route because they want the newer system, and maybe they like that it's smaller, or has larger storage, even by just that much. But still, it's something new, and it's something they can upgrade to or buy alongside of their current system. And in that case, Sony banking a lot right now on Spider-Man to help sell a ton of systems. So why not throw it in with a bundle? We should be seeing this announced here probably in the next week or two. And I do wonder if that Spider-Man PS5 bundle will just be available on the PlayStation Direct store on their website. I mean, really, it's just apparently the Spider-Man game and then the PlayStation 5 Slim system. So it's not like it's custom plates or anything like that. So really, if you already have the PS5 or even the PS5 Slim, you're already setting all of that up, I wouldn't worry too much about this bundle. I think it just plays more into the holiday side of things and sort of the gift giving, have everything all in one bundle set up under the tree. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about some Halloween sales that are currently live across all the different platforms for Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation. We'll start over on Nintendo with their website here, the deals section. This is their screaming deals that'll run until the 31st of October. And as you guessed, it's going to be very much so like Halloween themed. For example, Dead by Daylight is half off at $15. We have Shovel Knight, Spectre of Torment, that's just $3. Doom Eternal is $15.99. That's a pretty good price there for it. Ghost Trick is $20. Cult of the Lamb is $22.74. We have Quake 2 coming in at $4. Super Meat Boy Forever is at $2. Carry On, that's $8. Halloween Forever at $5. Amnesia Collection at $3. And Spiritfarer, that one's at $7.50. Oh, and I absolutely have to give a shout out here to Death's Door at $8. Phenomenal game. Definitely recommend checking it out. I know people like to say that this game's the soul or the Dark Souls of I mean, this kind of is the Dark Souls of isometric Zelda style games, but I would say it's definitely worth checking out. Next, we'll move over to Sony, starting with a couple of Resident Evil games, Resident Evil 2 or 3, either one is $10. Can't go wrong with that around kind of the Halloween time. Ghost Trick also there at $20. Outlast 1 is $2. Outlast 2 is $3. So you can get Outlast 1 and 2 kind of bundled together for $5. That might be the move there if you haven't played either one and you're kind of looking for like that spooky, scary style game. Inscription is $12. We have Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse at $35 and Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater at $28. Ghostbusters is remastered. Love this game at $12. I think it's definitely worth a pickup if you have not played it yet. Then we have Little Nightmares 1 at $5 and Little Nightmares 2 at $10. And finally, moving over to Microsoft, we have Diablo 4 marked down to $53. We have Resident Evil 4, that's at $40. I had to throw a 360 game in there. I grabbed Alice Madness Returns. It's $2. Alien Isolation, great game. Get another good kind of spooky style game, $10. Alan Wake Remastered might not be a bad idea with Alan Wake 2 coming up, this one at $10. BioShock Collection at $10. If you have never played a BioShock Collection, absolutely pick this up. Go through the first BioShock game. I think it's set up beautifully for, again, kind of that Halloween vibe, and it's just a phenomenal game. Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection, a bit more lighthearted there, but still plays into it at $11. Prey, that one's $8. Red Faction Remastered. You just get to blow stuff up. Hey, $5, worth a look. Silent Hill HD Collection. It's $10. I know the Silent Hill, this HD collection has gotten beat down quite a bit. Still though, $10 for some really good games, even if they're maybe not the best representation of them. But overall, a lot of titles on sale across all these different platforms. So as always, of course, leave some suggestions down below if there's any that catch your eye. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're taking a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, if you're picking up one or both of the big games this weekend, which one are you playing first? Okay, 58% say Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and then 42% say Spider-Man 2. And I saw some of the comments, some mentioning, well, I can jump into Mario Bros. Wonder for even like 30 minutes just to get an idea as to how it plays, what it looks like on the TV or on the OLED, and then I can jump over to Spider-Man 2, which is more of an investment because they're going to be setting up the game in terms of story. There's probably really an opening mission that's going to play into kind of a tutorial setup. So I get that. And I am kind of on the opposite side. I'm going to jump into Spider-Man 2 immediately. That is like a midnight release style game for me, which by the way, I saw GameStop is doing a midnight release for Spider-Man 2. So maybe I'll check that out, or maybe I'll get it digitally, preload it, have that set up for midnight, and then get the physical copy down the road on discount, just kind of leave it sealed for the collection. But I mean, hey, you can't go wrong either way. It's gonna be a lot of fun today with two really good games, Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Spider-Man 2 releasing. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from SCJ Productions saying, I think the Game of the Year nominees at the Game Awards are gonna stir up a bit of an argument. Tears of the Kingdom is probably the only guarantee, but after being new to the Baldur's Gate's Diablo Armored Core series, I think those new titles deserve nominations. With Final Fantasy VII Remake being nominated in 2020, Metroid Prime or RE4 should have a nomination, right? Not having enough nomination spots is never a bad thing for us gamers, I guess. Also, to play on that with RE4, I mean, Resident Evil 2 Remake, that was nominated as well for the Game Awards. So I don't necessarily think all these remakes or remasters are just out of the picture. You could have something like Resident Evil 4 in there. It scored really well. It's a great game. Sure, why not? So it's going to be a very interesting December to see what takes home Game of the Year, sure. But even at this point, just seeing what gets nominated because of how crowded the field is right now, and this kind of leads into something I was thinking about, might be worth maybe using some of the polls that I do. We just run an entire like bracket where we have the top 32 games, we'll say, rated this year, and we just have them all go head-to-head, different rounds, and have the people just vote to see what ends up being Game of the Year at the end, just from community votes. Could be fun. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in down below. It'd probably take about, just based on calculations, a month, maybe maybe like 6 weeks or so to run the entire thing, but I think it could be a lot of fun to see how that turns out. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below, but everything we talked about here today was the recent report around the Switch 2 and Nvidia with ray reconstruction. Do you think Nvidia is going to show up with something impressive here on the Tegra side for Nintendo's next device? Then also, what about the PlayStation 5 Slim, seemingly coming up here November 10th, but a Spider-Man bundle just a few days before. Thanks guys for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time for Newswave.